What's up, party people, and welcome back to another episode of the Tom Dark Show. I'm your host, Tom, and today we've got a very special story.
Listen, I'll up the number, okay? $30K to anyone who'll make this disappear and make Eve's breasts bigger. Okay, you have to do both, all right? Because then it's a win-win for me. I get more breast, and I don't have to see that moron on my timeline anymore. So if you think about it,
We now live in a world where leftists can openly call for your and post bounties with zero repercussions. But you can't have a bikini in your game. Let that sink in. So all of this starts with Stellar Blade. It's a 2024 action-adventure game published by Sony Interactive. And people are very, very mad about it. The reason why is this character, who many were looking forward to seeing in-game, showing cleavage and just basically being really hot.
Okay.
Everybody was really excited for this. They were excited for the gore in the game. They were excited to see her, you know, with her cannons out, so to speak. Gamers were promised it would be sexy, it would be violent, and it would be uncensored for all regions. Unfortunately for the Gooner gamers out there, this did not end up being the case, and the game was slightly censored in the Western release to cover up some of her cleavage, basically. Apparently, several outfits got more covered up on release compared to trailers. Some have more chest covering, some have leggings now. One has a bit more covering the chest and the, I don't know what to call it, place between crotch and belly button, but on the sides. Also, gore and blood got toned down. Also, apparently the word hard was next to a rest stop, denoted by an R, so a wall saying hard R was there, which I guess is a no-no in America, so they changed it to crime. But that's like so minor, I don't know why people will get mad over that. Basically, like 10-ish costumes, probably less, got covered up a bit, and less blood and gore. Now, when I heard about this, I was kind of confused why anyone even cares and why this was such like a big talking point on Twitter. Like, why is this even a big deal at all? I mean, it's like, I'm anti-censorship, broadly speaking, but it's a video game where 2 inches of clothing were removed. Why does anybody care? Well, people see this as symptomatic of a larger issue. Enter Grums, or Mark Kern, a video games industry veteran who has worked on World of Warcraft, Diablo 2, StarCraft, and overall is a pretty renowned dude in the industry. He's been the leader of a movement on Twitter that many are calling the second coming of Gamergate. He and his followers believe gaming has been infiltrated by various woke political actors who seek to uphold cringe belief systems in these games. A lot of the focus has been on Sweet Baby Inc., which is a consulting firm used by a lot of big name studios that has influence on some massive titles. The Sweet Baby Inc. website reads, "We believe you need diverse voices to solve diverse problems. Sweet Baby Inc. provides narrative consultation at any stage of development, boasting a talented team with vetted industry experience to best bring your story to life." And this has caused a ton of debate, because when a game is perceived to have forced diversity in its cast or story, gamers then check to see if there's involvement from Sweet Baby Inc., and according to them, they're pretty much always there. There was a Steam group dedicated to the anti-Sweet Baby Inc. movement with over 100,000 members in it at one point, and a Discord with 2,000 users. Meanwhile, after games journalists saw all of these gamers up in arms, they decided to write their own articles basically defending Sweet Baby Inc., declaring that the company is not in favor of forced diversity, and the diversity within games is merely a byproduct of developers and the culture becoming more inclusive overall in the past few years. PC Gamer writes, "If you're against games with inclusive casts or what have you, it's growing harder to toe that particular line. Such games have proven, not that they needed to, that they can both be good and bad in the ways that any game can be. It's far easier to believe that some insidious outside influence is sneaking its Kabbalist silver tendrils into your favorite hobby, rather than admitting that most gamers don't actually care. It's a simple sell to invent a version of a company that's somehow forcing people at the metaphorical gunpoint to turn up the diversity dial rather than just being a service that is clearly useful to some developers telling certain kinds of stories." Meanwhile, Kotaku writes, "Sweet Baby Inc. and other industry leaders suggest that this dogged insistence on believing one company is forcibly injecting diversity into games is a side effect of a widespread misunderstanding of how games are actually made." Meanwhile, members of the opposing movement believe this firm and the culture encouraged by them upon the developers to basically please this like woke crowd is ruining games as they know it. They've been researching current and ex-employees of the company, discovering that some of them have said some pretty crazy stuff like white people.
Validate has a team of mostly all people of color. We have no white people on our team. I did that because I wanted to create a safe environment. And I know the best way for an environment to be safe is to be around people who are just like me. And I'm not saying that white people in the industry are creating unsafe environments. I'm not saying that. That is not what I'm saying. I am saying that sometimes it is hard to work with white people because they think that something made it okay, but it was really a microaggression.
You put white people on the graphic of the character I designed, and it put many to all of us in jeopardy. People are completely dug in on both sides, with Grums at the head of the anti-woke messaging and gaming movement, whatever you want to call it. Gamergate 2. They see Stellar Blade as the latest example of censoring a hot woman merely because she's attractive, which they see as part of this agenda. Enter Denims TV. She's a Twitch streamer who herself has a pretty interesting past. She's known for a lot of bad takes, and most notably being a very big clout chaser of Hassan Piker, trying to ride his coattails to success. Not very successfully though, she's not a very big streamer, but she's trying. Give her credit where credit is due. As you can imagine, because of that, she's a leftist and is completely opposed to the anti-Sweet Baby Inc. movement, believing them to be bigots who are complaining about nothing. Denims was streaming the other day, catching herself up on all of this drama, and expressed her thoughts on Grums.
30K to anyone who'll make this disappear and make Eve's breasts bigger. Okay, you have to do both. All right.
Now, that's a pretty crazy thing to say, I'll admit. I didn't really take this seriously. I saw it as a joke. As much as I dislike Denims, I just kind of read it as nothing more than a silly comment she made. I didn't think she was actually encouraging anyone to be... But not everyone took it that way, with Grum saying, "This is getting out of hand. This should be a permanent suspension on Twitch and Twitter. Also, at FBI, you should be looking into this." All hands were on deck as his followers went to report her for behavior that they saw as encouraging violence. We can poke fun at this all day, but the scary thing is there can be someone out there that's crazy enough to make the meme real, and this is the reality these losers don't even consider. And Grums is clearly taking it very seriously as a legitimate threat. While I maintain that Denims was definitely joking and that she didn't actually want to hire a hitman to, you know, go after this guy. I mean, even if she wanted to, it's not like she has the money to do so. But at the same time, it is possible that someone from her audience would take this and run with it. I rarely make the argument that a creator is responsible for the actions of their audience, but if someone did actually do something deranged as a result of this clip, then Denims would definitely be on the hook, at least to the wider public, even if she was clearly joking here. Which is why Asmongold also decided to report her Twitter account.
She's so aggressive? Well, it's simple. So how do you deal with a situation like this? It's really easy. I contacted Twitch about it earlier. I sent them the clip, and we'll see what happens. And, you know, maybe after that, I might put in a police report. I'm gonna just wait and see how things play out. This is unhinged. It's completely unhinged. It's totally uncalled for. Yeah, this is like a felony. What is this?
What I will say here is that if any right-wing creator said anything even close to this, they would be instantly banned from every platform in the world. But because Denims is a leftist woman and has inroads to Twitch, she's probably just gonna get away with it. The threat being taken seriously has caused some of those on the outside of the movement to criticize Grums, calling him exactly the thing he criticizes because he advocated for deplatforming her when he's against censorship. Meanwhile, Denims decided to private her Twitter account when all this went down, likely to mitigate her risk of being banned there as well. On one hand, I mean, what she said is a joke, obviously. I don't think there's any arguing with that. I think if you can't see that, I think you're a little bit dug in. But just because it's a joke doesn't mean you can't say it's a wrong thing to say in front of a live audience. And Denims has absolutely encouraged the censorship of people on the right who have done far less, so it's really hard to feel that bad for her in particular. When people began reporting her, they basically got back that she had done nothing wrong. Twitch was like, "Hey, that's our girl right there. That's our perfect sweetie. She's fine." So it seems like Twitch isn't going to be taking any action against her. But Denims is not the only one making comments like this. There are a few other tweets going around of people saying similar things about this bounty. Ultimately, while Denims' goal was probably to discredit Grums and his movement and to like make a joke at his expense, all that's really happened is he's been able to tweet about it 50 different times and just watch the followers and support roll in. He basically won this, if you ask me. Like he did win this drama. If this was a game of Risk or something, he destroyed it. Meanwhile, some other people dug through the petition that everyone was signing, a petition that he's been tweeting out a lot that has over 50,000 signatures, basically asking Sony to put this cleavage back in the game, more or less. And some of the people researching this found some pretty interesting characters in the midst of this movement.
This petition is not only to free Stellar Blade, but to send a clear message to Sony, Nintendo, and the rest of the publishers in the gaming industry that we players will not tolerate any form of censorship moving forward. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jeremy, and I am signing the Stellar Blade petition because I too am tired of how Sony is constantly censoring games left and right, back and forth, for absolutely no reason whatsoever to fit some stupid, worthless, pointless agenda. Stellar Blade is definitely a breath of fresh air, and it needs to stay that way. Thank you.
Hey Sony, I want you to take off the censor off the games Stellar Blade, because I'm looking forward to play this game as well. Because my game won't be here until Wednesday from the mail, and I want things to change and what's going on around the world and stuff. And sign a petition, all right, and stuff. All right, bye.
I'm really disappointed because as a grown man, I really expected to have at least some type of responsibility to look after myself and do what I want in the comforts of my own home. Yeah, that's it. This is bull.
Baba Booey.
Hate to break it to you guys, we're not beating the Discord mod allegations today. A lot of people are under the impression that this is the end of Denims' career, and I gotta say that's probably not true. If Twitch hasn't banned her yet, they probably are not going to. Her takes in the past have been absolutely dumber than this, so it's likely her audience will stick by her. As someone who has worked 12-hour shifts with a 4-hour commute, streaming is easily the hardest job I've ever had. The post-stream social exhaustion is so real, I don't know how anyone could do it every day. Hate to break it to you, Denims, but normal people who are stocking shelves or working at like drive-ins or whatever drive-throughs are just as, if not more, socially exhausted than you are after streaming saying that you want to raise money to kill someone. I will say, Grum's tweeting at the FBI, like, I don't know if that was like a troll or a joke, but do you think tweeting at the FBI is the best way to get them to investigate someone, realistically? You actually have to file a tip with the FBI, which, if you believe that anyone has done something wrong, I encourage you to do. And while you can say he's overreacting, you know, from the outside looking in, I think at the end of the day, if another public figure said something like this about me to their audience, even in a joking manner, I would probably be pretty spooked myself. I wouldn't be too excited about that. And, you know, I don't know how I'd react, honestly. I might be more sympathetic to Grums if I was in his shoes. So it's really hard for me to say that he's like completely, you know, in the wrong here, even though clearly she was joking. Just because, you know, he's at the center of a very controversial political movement, basically. I mean, it's gaming related, but there's politics in there. You have a few crazies online who don't really need to be encouraged to do anything crazy. So it's understandable why he's, you know, frustrated with what's going on. And Denim still sucks, so that hasn't changed.